What is going on, everybody? King Recon here, yo. I gotta show y'all something, dude. Midnight just hit. And officially, Capcom Fighting Collection #2 has dropped, yo. And finally, after all this time, I get to play Capcom vs. SNK 2 again, bro. I absolutely adore this game, and I could not wait to play it again. On top of that, one of my top 25 favorite games of all time, Street Fighter Alpha 3. So that'll be really exciting. Then there's these two, man. Dreamcast classics. It's just hyped, dude. I'm so hyped. But yeah, man, just when I was about to press play on Capcom vs. SNK 2, I was like, bro, I have not recorded a top 5 of the week this week, and I've experienced some greatness, man. I'm gonna include stuff from last week into this week's particular top 5. So I wasn't able to record one last week, obviously with the bad internet issues, and I'm hoping this one will be able to go up too. But ladies and gentlemen, it was a really, really cool week. A super cool week. Before we get into the top 5, I'm gonna start off with the number 6, because the latest installments in Akane Banashi have been very, very fascinating. If you're not caught up to Akane Banashi, just skip over to number 5. Here in 3, 2, 1. Because right now we are in a situation where Akane is going to have to perform some Rakugo, but do so in a manner where now she has to make a decision whether she follows these instructions that have been given to her to make the audience feel something that's not laughter, right? Like to perform this particular piece without making the audience laugh and proving that. Or she can disregard him completely and do things in her own way. Because Akane's type of character that would like to overcome challenges, especially coming off of the time skip, I'm extremely excited to see how she comes to the decision that she's going to eventually make, but also how we're going to get a potential, like, how will Akane's Rakugo evolve thanks to limiting herself in this way? Because limits and the limits that we place on ourselves in training, in any type of thing that we're attempting to improve in, will end up having some sort of reward in some capacity that maybe we're not even expecting. And so when I saw that I kind of was going through that, I was like, man, this is a really interesting way to take this particular stretch. Because I was already really excited considering we're about to reunite with some old rivals. But now on top of reuniting with old rivals, she's going to have to attempt to defeat those old rivals while also being handicapped and not being able to make the audience laugh. And so we're going to see how her Rakugo evolves here. And I'm very, very excited to see how that ends up taking place. So that's my number 6. I had to include Akane Banashi because it's Akane Banashi, man. That's my jam right there. So Akane Banashi is my number 6. Coming number 5, we have a book that I just recently started reading because of the Steel Ball Run hype. It is All the Pretty Horses by Cormac McCarthy. I've been really enjoying this particular read because, number 1, this, of course, is an author that I've been wanting to read for a very long time. And it just felt right. You know, I was looking at in the App Store, in the books, Apple Books store, and I was trying to find something that was meshing with my mood, and my mood was to experience something Western, you know, something that has some horses in it, you know what I'm saying? Because of the Steel Ball Run mood that I'm in, and the heavy JoJo mood I'm in. So I was like, you know what, man? First thing that I see that has some horses in it, we're gonna buy it. And algorithm led me to All the Pretty Horses, man. And I remembered hearing about this a long time ago, in a review, a spoiler-free review that went into a few of the different entries within Cormac McCarthy's discography. And I remember that, and I was like, oh, I've got to give this one a shot. And I was like, you know what, man, I'm gonna dive right in and see what it has in store for me. And I'll tell you what, I'm in awe of this individual's skill. I truly am. I'm in awe of the way that dialogue tags and the everything that has to do with the structure of a novel, the way that we're expecting a novel to be structured, is all there. But taking away that element of dialogue tags in regards to not knowing when or I should say, you shouldn't be able to, quote unquote, know when someone is about to deliver a piece of dialogue without those dialogue tags. And for an individual to be able to be able to do that in a way that doesn't feel confusing at all, while simultaneously combining that along with a prose style that's heavy, but it never feels like it's getting away. And I've been told that in some other works, it can get a little more crazy in that regard. But as far as this novel is concerned, it's been so interesting just how easy it is for the information to just come out. I compared it actually to Vagabond. And there's so much that you can take away from a particular page, a particular spread. But it goes down so easy. You know, it's so easily digestible that it makes you want to keep turning the pages, while at the same time wanting to go back and look at it. You know, the same way you would like a volume of Vagabond and be like, man, or a chapter of Vagabond or a page of Vagabond and be like, man, that piece of art was crazy. You know what I'm saying? Or that particular passage really stood out to me. In that same regard, I feel about this book, man. And so it's been a really interesting experience so far. Number one, like I said, because I'm finally reading something from this individual that I've been wanting to read for a very long time. But it's also just seeing how the style is not getting in the way of a really enjoyable experience. As a matter of fact, it's enhancing it. It's a part of the presentation. It's a part of what gives it such an awesome cinematic quality, while at the same time giving a unique feel that truly feels like you're going on a brand new journey. And I've been appreciating it a lot. And so shout out to All the Pretty Horses. Coming in number 5. Coming in number 4, I have a movie that I just recently watched for the first time. When it initially came out, I was recommended it by so many of y'all, by some of my coworkers, as well as individuals who are heavy into the Godzilla space. But your boy finally watched Godzilla -1, man. And dude, it was flipping peak, son. I was in awe. Like, from the moment the movie started, I was like, nah, they got something cooking here. You know what I'm saying? But I think from the entire journey, I actually had to pause the movie because I watched it while I was... y'all remember that day? It was after Into the Kingdom stream, where I was like, tomorrow I gotta do something and take my brother over to take his exam, right? And I was gonna have to wait in the car for a long time. And so what I ended up doing while I was waiting in the car for my brother to finish his exam was watch this, right? But I was only able to get a certain portion of the way through the movie, around like 75%. And then when I came back home and I popped in on the big TV, I was like, oh man. I mean, I was already really enjoying it, just watching it on my phone. But when I came back home and I popped in Netflix on the TV, I was like, man, this movie's awesome. Just what a great film. It's been so long since I've watched anything in regards to Godzilla, but a few years ago we had a Warzone collaboration. Shout out to Call of Duty Warzone, where you had the King Kong versus Godzilla event. And I love that event so much, and it got me in the mood to experience something for Godzilla again. And then a couple years later, finally got to watch Godzilla Minus One, and it was an amazing experience, man. If you have not watched that movie, and also I think viewing it from the lens of Asadora, which I read last year, I was talking about that very highly here. It was one of my favorite reads of last year. Asadora, of course, being Naoki Urasawa's latest work, which is him tackling a kaiju monster movie through the lens of an Naoki Urasawa work, and it was sensational, man. It's some good stuff. Of course, it's not completed yet, but even just so far, I was so enamored with the way that the story was being told up until where I last read it. I was like, man, now I'm really in the mood for something like this. And so to be able to experience Godzilla Minus One was a real treat. So I'm excited for it. Another opportunity to experience the something else within the Godzilla verse, and that's going to be super, super fun. So yeah, finally watched that. Amazing stuff. Super, super good. Coming in number 3. See this greatness right here, man. 100 line. Come on, man. 100 line Last Defense Academy. I made it. I'm currently on day 60 of my first playthrough of this game. And man, dude, from the last time that I spoke to y'all until now, it's only gotten better with every single day that's passed within the game. Not only just getting more connected to the characters, but also from a gameplay standpoint too. I've found that the different party members that have been added. There's a particular point in the game where quite a few party members, a few new party members join in, and I absolutely adore those characters. As a matter of fact, my favorite character so far in this game comes from that new band of characters that you get at some point in that I believe it was. I'm not gonna say it just so that individuals who are out there and want to play this game, y'all will be in for a treat when those party members show up. But within those new particular party members, there's a tomato head that the on-screen presence of that character is so much fun. And then on top of the on-screen amazing content we get from that character and another character that's there, I just love their dynamic. I love this character's dynamic with like everyone, right? But then we get the initial backstory section right after that, and I was like, oh my god, now I love this character as an on-screen presence that's very entertaining, and I love them as a character just in general. I was like, nah, man. So the game has been, with every arc or like mini arc that takes place, and we explore another character, or we explore another character alongside another character that's also in the midst of this, and the mysteries of the world become more and more prevalent, and we're starting to get more information, we're also getting more questions. I'm invested, bro. I'm really, really invested. And I think the thing that the game has just been, the main reason why it's been so rent-free for me is because of this like thing in the back of my head that keeps reminding me how crazy the final stretch of 999 was. Because like I said, I've only watched the Danganronpa anime, and that was so long ago, I don't even remember what happens. I just remember liking the art style. But 999, I remember that junk like it was yesterday, bro. You know what I'm saying? And so I remember how crazy the last like 10 hours of me playing that game was. And to know that this game is a collaboration between those two individuals, I'm so excited to see, regardless of whether it's in the route I'm in or in a different route, how much more nuts this can get. Because I'm already locked in. You know what I'm saying? I'm already invested, man. I just can't wait to see some of the payoff to these mysteries. Some of the payoff to these character dynamics that we've been establishing. And so, and especially to the themes, there's a lot of things that they could be cooking here with these characters. But it's just been such a fun journey, and there have been some crazy surprises so far, like crazy surprises. But I'm enjoying it a lot, man. I'm looking forward to continuing on with this game. Once again, I'm taking it at my own pace because I don't want to. It's the opposite of Expedition 33, where I just swallowed that game whole in like a couple days. It's coming off of that experience and how empty I felt, where I'm still playing that game because I'm trying to fill a hole that it left behind, and I absolutely adore Expedition 33. But with this one, I was like, man, I got to take the opposite approach. I can't swallow another game whole. If not, I'm going to really have a massive hole left. And so, thankfully, I've been able to take this one at a much slower pace and forced, right? Because it's a Switch game. I'll play whenever I go out, play it before bed at night, and so it's been a real treat, and I'm really enjoying this game so far. So that's coming in here at number 3. Now coming in number 2 and number 1, I have 2 re-experiences. One of them is in form of anime, the other one is in form of the manga. 2 things that were pivotal in my anime and manga journey back on the old channel. 2 series actually that represented my profile pictures on the old channel before I eventually got to the one that y'all know here today. But starting us off here at number 2, this was originally gonna be my number 1 if I would have recorded this last week, but because I'm recording it this week, something else is number 1, and my goodness, man. So once again, both of these are one of them is a reread, the other one's is a rewatch or re-experience. My number 2, continuing where we were talking about last time. I think it was also my number 2 last time. My number 3. We were talking about JoJo, and I just caught up to JoJo Lands, but at the same time, while I was catching up to JoJo Lands again, I was telling y'all how I was also watching the Stone Ocean anime again. I've been watching it and watching it and watching it. Dude, when I got to the 3rd part of the Stone Ocean anime, from Jailhouse Rock all the way to the end, man, I was so locked in. And once again, this is something that I experienced so long ago. So now we have the nostalgia factor in it. We have how much does it impact me personally all those years ago. And then I'm also getting the oh my goodness, bro. This is absolutely insane in the anime, man. And so I have all of that going for it, right? And that by itself would have already been a sensational experience because I love so many of those. Like I said, Jailhouse Rock, Bohemian Rhapsody. I mean, these are legendary to me, man. Sea Moon, Made in Heaven, What a Wonderful World. This is legendary stuff to me, man. So, and flipping Weather Report, bro. Peak. You know what I'm saying? Or what do they call it in the I forgot what it was in the manga. In the anime, they call it Heavy Forecast, whatever it was, that arc. Fantastic stuff. All of that is so good, man. But what really made it special was being able to see someone else's firsthand experience while I was going through it. And being able to see their reaction as the craziness was unfolding from Sea Moon to Made in Heaven, and it all clicking and being like, oh my God, this is what's actually happening right now. And me there being like, yes, that is what's happening. Because I'll tell you what, man, similar to whenever we get to number 1, it's like, I find it beautiful when I experience something. I know I experienced something really special to me because the overall thing that I've just gone through, the journey I've just gone through, has left such a profound impression on me that I can't stop thinking about it, even though there's like an element of me that's like, I don't understand why. Like, I know that I really loved it, but why is it? Is it just the experience? Is it just that I when I first went through Stone Ocean, I read it all in like 3 days or 4 days, whatever it was. And then that ending, which forever changed the way that I viewed how mangas could end, right? Like all of that is of course there. But there was something that I've always resonated with personally, and I wasn't able to put my finger on it. I was like, is it the setting? Do I really rock with this setting? Obviously, I love Jolene. I love the main cast that's present in Part 6. I love the fights in Part 6. I love the stands. And obviously, I love Enrico Pucci. So it's like, there's so many elements here I know I like, but there's something deeper here. And then it hit, man. When I reached episode 38, after the legendary, and listen, man, I've been listening to Heaven's Falling Down almost non-stop since I finished the anime. But what an awesome opening, and the best version is that episode 38 version. When I got to episode 38, which by the way is without question one of anime's all-time greatest hits right there, man. That is a banger episode, bro. That is a banger episode. But coming off episode 37, which is obviously where so much of the craziness happens. And it's like the first time you experienced that, I remember the first time I experienced it, it was just, you never forget it. You know, it's like, what are the flying flaggers going on here? But I think what really impacted me with the anime version, and I suppose where I'm at right now in this stage in my life, and viewing it from the lens of some of the other things I've experienced, is just how cool of a concept that final chapter is. Because you see, I'm viewing it from the lens of someone who grew up obviously in a religious household, but also with a heavy understanding into the biblical side of things. In particular, when it comes to my understanding of what heaven would be like, right? Like we were taught in the church at a young age that once you do get up to heaven, you'll receive a new name. You'll forget who you were while you were living in a physical sense, right? And so it would be like a reset in this brand new world. And for some reason that never clocked in my head, that's exactly what Araki was going for with this other world that Pucci wanted to create. That this is his made in heaven. This is literally the version of heaven in the series. Characters not remembering, going into a brand new thing where events take place again. The reset, brand new names. And once all that clicked, I was like, dude, this is literally a version of like Araki exploring like the idea and the concept of heaven, obviously through a priest in the most apocalyptic way that a manga is, that especially a Shonen Jump manga has ended since like Devilman, right? Like Devilman obviously has a super apocalyptic ending, but Stone Ocean really has like an apocalyptic feel to it in its final stretch, and in particular with that final chapter, and it's always felt that way. But for some reason, that particular aspect of it clicked this time, and I was like, oh my god, that is genius. That is absolutely brilliant. And obviously the Emporio stuff is fantastic, and when it starts playing the ending theme, oh man, dude, the tears, bro. I mean, it's beautiful. Obviously, you got Roundabout, and that plays at the end, and it's an unforgettable experience, man. I remember exactly what I felt the first time I read it, which is always a good thing. Elevated everything. But I think that was what I really came out of the Stone Ocean rewatch just being in awe of, which was how consistent Araki was. Like I understood his vision, and even though Araki, of course, didn't always have the the ending in mind while he was writing Stone Ocean, that makes the ending even more impressive to me. Because if I'm not mistaken, he said he wanted to end Stone Ocean in a different way. And eventually it led him towards the ending that we got. And I can't even fathom Stone Ocean having a different ending. I'm just glad that whatever happened while he was writing led him to the version that we got. Because the version that we got, man, is something super, super special to me. But Enrico Pucci as a character, what Araki was doing with Pucci, and then eventually when you get to What a Wonderful World, I forgot what they call it in there. I only know it's the manga name. Eventually when you get there, and it really clicked for me this time, I was like, man, dude, because I'd always wondered my first go around, like the heaven thing is what I was always a little confused on, in regards to why it was called Made in Heaven. What is heavenly about this other place? And it clicked for me this time, where I was like, holy flipping flagnards. And it honestly elevated everything for me. And I can't imagine Stone Ocean without it now. And so that's the beauty of a rewatch. It allows you to really look at things that resonated with you once and add some more context to it. Add something else that you potentially didn't even know the first time around, right? Especially because I was so young. But it impacted me, man. It really, really did. And so shout out to Stone Ocean, man. Phenomenal stuff. I'm now on Steel Ball greatness in the reread. And shout out to my boy AJ, who just recently started his first initial read through of Steel Ball Run in his streams, and that's been an awesome experience. But coming in number one, I have the other thing that I was re-experiencing alongside JoJo. I was taking my time with it, but something inside me really called out for a something like this, right? Like an experience like this. And I left off on my reread of this series last year at around chapter 42. And I kept putting it off and putting it off and putting it off. And one day, when I was feeling really, really like I needed something from a story, my mind just kept going towards this one. And I continued the reread from exactly where I left off on chapter 42. And that is Takehiko Inoue's Vagabond. And let me tell you something, man. Going back to the Stone Ocean thing. Being able to re-experience something again so many years later. Because for Stone Ocean, I've reread Stone Ocean several times. Which is why being able to have something click like that in the anime version while watching it in its finale, and have it hit as hard as it did was something really, really beautiful for me, because I was like, man, even all these re-experiences later, it still hits. Vagabond, I've only read once. I read it once, man. And it impacted your boy so much that one of, like, I say the iconic profile pictures of this channel, which is like the only profile pictures, but in particular for my online persona. The original, obviously, Halo profile picture. The Diego Brando profile picture, that was my profile picture, man, for so long. Then there was the Kojiro, baby Kojiro picture that I flippin' loved it, man. Like, I absolutely, I love Kojiro so much that if it wasn't for me rewatching Greed Island and finding that frame that would later become the channel icon that y'all know here today, towards the end of the old channel, I might still have that baby Kojiro profile picture, because it just represented freedom to me. You know what I'm saying? And I thought it represented exactly what I was going for with this channel. And so that obviously was a big impactful thing. And going off of other Inoue works, after experiencing 20th Century Boys, Steel Ball Run first, and then after I caught up to Jolian, which at the time was like in his early 20s or 10s, whatever it was. Then I read 20th Century Boys, my first Urasawa work, and I read two of my most impactful reads back to back, right, with Steel Ball Run and 20th Century Boys, and I was like, man, I need something else. I need something else that I can like really, really vibe with, and that's when I found this. I found Slam Dunk, right, and I absolutely just another thing that I went through, and I just all of it, man. I couldn't stop, you know what I'm saying? I loved it so much, and after I finished Slam Dunk, I was like, man, Vagabond time. And of course, that was absolutely sensational. But I never truly, like, I connected with it, but similar to what I was talking about with the final chapter of Steel Ball Run, I feel like I was too young to truly understand because I hadn't experienced certain things, right? And so, even though I appreciated all of the greatness that was there, it didn't resonate yet. Even though some things clearly did, because of my love and infatuation with the Gojiro flashback and certain other elements there, but it was still too early, man. It was still too early. And so what's interesting about that is a couple years later, I got into Real, which is Inoue's other series, and that one impacted me so much that I did a college, or I did like a project in my first go-around in college, based on Real, because I just absolutely adored that manga. So here we are 10 years later, and I really enjoyed the first 41 chapters, right? But brother, from chapter 42 to chapter 327, and then reading the final chapter of Vagabond, was, to say it was enlightening would be an understatement. To say that it was like my heart and soul was like being ripped out of my chest, ripped out of my body, and it was connecting to the page that was being ripped out and the ink that was being taken out of the page as they would connect. And I would just sit there going through page on page on page on page and just being in awe of the fact that this is an actual manga that exists. A manga like this that feels like something that everyone should experience at least once is actually a thing that I can read. Kept popping up in my head the more I went through it. Because the more I went through it, I was like, man, this is some really, really beautiful stuff. Like some heart-warming, just, it resonates with those who just live life. I honestly think, and I think Inoue himself talks about this as well on interpretation and art. Actually, even in the final chapter, he talks about that, about interpretation and how the written word, the beauty of that written word is how it's reacted to by an individual based on what they've gone through as well and their own interpretations of that. I'm honestly curious on how Vagabond like hits with certain individuals more so than I ever have, because I'm comparing it to how I viewed it the first time around, right? Like, I was so, when I first read Vagabond, I was where Shinmen Takazo was at the beginning of the series. Someone who's trying to reach out at the heavens and attempt to do something that no one else has ever done before. That was my thought process. My ambitions were so high in the world of writing, in the world of YouTube, in so many different aspects of both of those journeys, that my eyes were only set on that. And so going from that initial time period when I read through Vagabond and I was just the beginning of my journey, how could I have possibly come close to even feeling a glimpse of what Takahiko Inoue was trying to say with this series? Because for the past 10 years, I've gone through so much in both the YouTube side of things and the writing side of things that all of those experiences truly made me feel one with Musashi at times, man. I mean, it's scary how much I was able to resonate with this character. Because like I said, the first time around, the character I resonated with the most was Kojiro because of the free aspect. But little did I know, that was all a part of the plan. That was all a part of the vision, because Musashi, the way that he views Kojiro, the way that they sort of fill each other with what the other doesn't have, is something that I once again would have never been able to appreciate all that time ago, because I now see that that's exactly what I was looking for 10 years ago. Was the freedom that Kojiro had to be able to seamlessly do that. I envied that. I truly did, because one of the reasons why I love Sound Euphonium so much, shout out to Hibiki Sound Euphonium, there's a couple of, I believe it's episode 12 of the first season, that really goes into the idea of the individual not being able to put in that series sound, what's in their heads and produce sound of it. Like, in their heads it's so good, but once it comes out, it's like, what are the flying flatteners? That's not what's in my head right now. Like, how do I produce the sound that's in my head? How do I take the thing that's in my head and actually be able to put it onto the page, to be able to make it sound off through a UFO? That is the struggle of every creative. And it's frustrating when that doesn't happen, man. But there are individuals who are able to do that so freely and have that childlike freedom and innocence and purity to the things that they're doing. And I saw so much of the childlike self for me personally. And when I was first started going through the writing journey in an age when I didn't even know that you could do this as a living, I just loved doing it, right? When I was like 5 years old, 10 years old. And throughout all that time, I wrote and wrote and wrote because it's what I love to do. And eventually I found that. Eventually I found exactly what it is that I, number one, want to do with the writing, but number two, that the freedom to fail, the freedom to go out and do all of these things in pursuit of what I was trying to do. I then found that childlike freedom that made writing so much fun to begin with, after so many failures, after so much suffering. And so I really connected with what Musashi was looking for in that particular stretch of the series. But man, when I tell you that in regards to the other stuff, in regards to connecting to to his feelings on Otsu, and having to choose between going back home to a regular life and continuing to pursue the sword because you feel like you're about to grasp something that could completely change everything. I felt that to the highest flipping degree, man. I mean, brother, that hit personal. You know what I'm saying? And that, once again, another thing that is just a thing that life teaches you, right? Like, you could write about it all day and I could read it 10 times over, but until I experience it myself, man, I'm not going to be able to know. You know what I'm saying? And I think what this series captures, I think what Inoue has done, because it's obvious through his author notes within each of within the end of each volume, is just how much the writing of Vagabond mimics his own personal journey as a human being, not even just as a mangaka, as a human being, right? Like, we see so much of how Musashi's journey can parallel Inoue's, and because he's pouring so much of himself onto the page, with questions, with potential answers through multiple different characters, through the way that all this material is presented. It truly feels like an individual who is sharing their life journey through us within the fictional character, obviously based off of in a historical sense, but it's Inoue presenting his life journey through someone like Miyamoto Musashi. And similar to how Hideaki Sirachi did it in Gintama, or Hideaki Anno did it with Evangelion, or anybody else who pours their entire heart and soul onto the page, it will resonate, man, especially for individuals who've gone through what the characters are going through. Maybe not even in the same type of way, but it's something that just makes you remember, right, your own personal experiences. And that just kept happening over and over and over again. But then, brother, when I got to the conversation between Takuan and Musashi in the 250s, it was similar to what I was talking about with Stone Ocean, where I was like, oh my God, I got it. Like, it clicked. It clicked in that moment. I was like, this is why this series resonated with me so hard all that time ago. I just couldn't put it into words because I genuinely could not possibly understand that at that point in time. And it just hit, man. And it made me reflect. It honestly did. Like, I remember entering the 260s, coming off of that conversation and that stretch of chapters. And I just had like a moment of introspection where I was like, man, dude, like so much of that just, it touched, it hit. It's like, what am I currently doing? Because those words, man, they couldn't have come at a better time. They could not have come at a better time. And then you get into the 300s, and that's always been majestic and magical in of itself, but again, something that I could have never truly appreciated until I attempted it myself. Because being able to compare the journey that you've poured your entire life into something else, learning from it, learning from other masters in a completely different craft that's not your own, being rejected in that craft, being told to go back to doing what you were originally doing, the conflict, the inner conflict in your heart of either continuing to pursue the thing that you really want to pursue or go back to this brand new thing that is bringing so much value to you at this point in time. There was just so much there, man, that where it was honestly, like, I can't even put it to words. I just, especially since I just finished it today, or technically yesterday, I still need to continue processing. And then I read the official final chapter of Vagabond. That was akin to, like, I've often heard, well, actually, that might be considered a spoiler, so I'm not gonna say I'm not gonna say that for what potentially happens in the final chapter, just in case you have not read that final chapter, and are waiting for it to happen in the manga itself. But what I was gonna get to is that reading experience, you know, seeing the end of something that you've been with for quite some time is always something that hits different. No matter how, even if it's something that you're not as connected with, it's still gonna hit because of the memories, right? Because you've known these characters so long. So imagine how it is for something that actually really does personally resonate with you. But then, when you combine that with an ending that just makes everything in this series just, it's like in that moment a light bulb goes out and it's like, that's Vagabond. That's the series. That's Inoue. That's his journey as an artist. That's everything. It's that, bro, reading that final chapter. I've often heard before, and I never could truly understand when individuals say they don't want to ruin an experience by rereading something. I don't believe in that. I never have believed in that. Because I feel like no matter where you are, that initial experience can never be ruined. Because that was who you were in that moment. And the you of that's reading it right now, or that's going to read it, is a different individual that's experienced different things. So obviously it's going to be a different experience. It's never going to be exactly the same. I value that a lot. But I think I came a little closer to understanding what people are saying when they say that. Because today when I finished reading that chapter, and all of it hit me at once when I hit the final page, I sort of had like an inner understanding of myself that I can never do that again. I'll never be able to experience what I just experienced again. Like that was it. That was my one shot. And in that moment, I was like, I see where everybody's coming from now. Or at least I came close to understanding that feeling that everybody discusses when they say that. Because undoubtedly, next time I reread the series, I mean, I might even wait another 10 years just to keep that going, right? Reread it every 10 years. But it just hit on such a different level, bro. Where like even now as I'm sitting here, I can't believe what I've read in that final chapter. That is a Hall of Fame, like Mount Rushmore manga chapter, bro. I mean, you want to talk about series that end and it sticks with you. Like, there's some really powerful endings that have been rent-free with me for a very long time. But this is going to be one of those that really sticks with me. This is like an Evangelion episode 26 or an End of Eva type of ending where I was like, dang, dude, you know? That stare at the wall type of ending. That, like, man, you know? And you have that moment of introspection, you know what I'm saying? Just, I don't know, man. I don't know, dude. It was just right place, right time. And I'm just so glad I went on this journey again. Man, what a journey. I will see y'all next time. This has been much longer than I was originally anticipating. But that's okay. Because that is the journey of life right there, man. You never know what's going to happen when you get out of bed. What's going to happen whenever you do anything. But the important thing is to keep on going. I'm going to end the video before we... Yeah, because experiencing the end of Stone Ocean and the flipping Vagabond rereads got me want to, you know, speak on some philosophy here or something. You know, I want to turn this into a sermon. Who knows, man? We're gonna turn the video off. I will see y'all. Have a good one. Take care. And like I said, on a serious note, If it's very difficult for you to get out of bed right now, just as it was for me a few weeks ago, get out of bed. There's a 50-50 chance it's going to be either a good day or a bad day. But waiting for you at the end of that bad day is going to be a potential sunlight, a potential beauty, a potential little thing that reminds you just how beautiful life is. The same way at the end of a good day, there could be that little thing, a little thorn that just turns everything on its head and ruins everything that came before. But life will continue to life, and the only thing we can do is number one, move forward, but number two is be grateful for the years that we've had on this planet so far, as hard as it can be. Because there's some truly beautiful things that we have experienced, that we are currently experiencing, and that we will experience. And I'm not just talking about stories. I'm talking about life. All right, now I'm gonna go play some Capcom vs. SNK. We're done with the philosophy, bro.